Hello, my name is Paul Fanning and I'm editor of Eureka, and I'm here today with Will Mason, MD of Maxon UK. And Will, perhaps we could start by talking a little bit about the event we're at, which is Maxon's Drive Technology Insight here at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. So perhaps you could tell us what the background is.
Yeah, I mean, it started over a couple of years, really. We at Maxon pride ourselves on our engineering knowledge about how motors work, how controllers work, and to be honest, we love talking about the technology. And we often invite customers to come to our factory in Switzerland or come to our office in Wokingham, and we give them training on how to use the products, select the products. And we sort of had an idea in a sales meeting, but perhaps we could do something a bit bigger. So we kicked it off last year and we had a very successful first go, and we ran it in conjunction with another company. And then we decided, actually, let's go bigger and better, and let's do it ourselves. So the aim is really to try and educate customers on, we're the experts on motors and the experts on gearboxes and controllers, and we really wanted to sort of share our knowledge and allow customers to come and learn from us, see the product. And I think we can say that it's been a huge success with over 100 participants signed up. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Absolutely, I could testify to that. So perhaps moving on to Maxon more generally, what are your areas of focus, both in terms of technology and in terms of market sectors at the moment?
So we are seeing, especially in the UK, and I think it's an industry we're particularly good at in the UK, is medical devices. And we're living longer, so parts of our body are failing, so they need to be replaced with electric motors. A good example is we are seeing a lot of applications for surgical robots and for implanting motors into bodies for things like heart pumps. So as an industry, that's a massive growth market for us, but we're also seeing sort of a lot of sort of more industrial manual labour jobs being replaced by electric motors. For example, things like fruit picking, applications like that, where before it was very manual and now they're wanting to automate it with robots. And Maxon, we're seeing a big growth in our customers wanting us to do more for them. So it used to be very much they would buy a catalogue, they would go in the catalogue, choose a motor, buy the motor, and we would support them. Now they're wanting the motor, but they're wanting us to do more. And we're a good example of the presentation earlier from Flabella about the space projects. We're doing that more and more with customers, where we're taking the customer's application and we're actually building a system for them, which could encompass the motor's always at the heart, and that's what we are known for. Motors at the heart, but we can add mechanical assembly, electronics, and a whole system built for the customer's application.
Okay, what demands does that place on the motors themselves? Well,
the motor doesn't change that much. It tends to be the R&D and the time it takes to get these products to market, because if a customer wants to buy a standard catalogue item, look in a catalogue, they can buy it, they'll get it, and it works, it's fine, it's easy. But when a customer goes through that sort of process, where they often come to us with a concept and say, we want it something like this, and we'll go through one design stage. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 design stages before we get to a product that is fit for production. It's generally the time and the R&D input, and that's where we at Maxon, we tend to work very closely with the customers, with our R&D guys. So it could be somebody who's a specialist in designing motors or gearboxes, and they'll work closely with the customer to make sure we end up with a product that fits their application.
Okay. And in terms, there's no such thing as an ideal market ever, but obviously there have been many challenges recently. I wonder if you could talk maybe a little bit about those challenges and what opportunities they've also.
Well, it was quite interesting. During COVID, we did see a big decline in our aerospace industry. People were flying less, so people were making less planes, and that was obvious. But what we did see was a huge growth in the medical market. And what we did see was that before there was a lot of regulation, and quite rightly, but it was very formulaic. You step by step, and projects would take 2, 3, 4 years. What we found at the beginning of COVID was a lot of these projects that were needed were massively accelerated, and that made that we had to work quicker. We had to be more dynamic to respond to it, because the customer, instead of working on an 18-month project, wanted to condense it into 6 months. And that taught us a lot about working quicker, which was interesting and gave us a lot of challenges. But we're seeing a lot of those medical projects now are very successful and and going well.
Okay. I know that there's a presentation that's taking place this afternoon about the future of the electric motor. I wonder, without wishing to steal your colleague's thunder there, if maybe you could give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, the fundamental design of electric motor isn't going to change dramatically, but what we're seeing is customers wanting it to be more efficient, smaller, especially if you look at lots of stuff where motors are used now, they're in battery-driven applications. If we look at prosthetic hands, for example, it's battery-driven. The longer it can last, the better it is. So we're seeing the fundamental design of motors aren't changing, but what we're trying to do is make motors more efficient, last longer, smaller tends to be a big requirement. We're also seeing a lot of applications where, especially in the aerospace industry, where previously might use hydraulics, and hydraulics serve their purpose, but sometimes people want to electrify it. And what that means is they have different control system, they have different ways of maintaining the aircraft, and it's new technology. So, for example, the Boeing Dreamliner was cutting edge in the fact that lots of the control system is electric, which obviously we like, and we're seeing that in other industries as well, where Maxon don't do motors big enough for electric cars, but we're getting heavily involved in lots of parts of electric cars. For example, adjusting suspension, adjusting ride height, all in the effort to make cars more efficient, so the battery lasts longer.
Okay, and perhaps to sum up, how in the current market does Maxon distinguish itself from its competitors, and how does it intend to continue doing so?
Yeah, I'd say the big strength of Maxon is we are engineers at heart. My background is a mechanical engineering degree. All my sales team of engineers have got engineering degrees, and they very much want to talk to engineers to solve problems. I almost joke, it's like the perfect customer. A customer comes along and says, I don't know what I want, but I need this parameter. I need the motor to do this, and I can give you this sort of input voltage and current, and then we will go away and work with them to find the optimum solution, whether it's performance-wise, and it mustn't fail because it's going on Mars, or it's a one use because it's disposable. But we will work with them, on a commercial and technical selection that is best for their application. So for us, we're very much, but we always start then from the catalogue product. So we've got something that customers can test, and then we can build onto it. So I'd say the strength of Maxon is the engineering side of it, that we're all engineers, and actually we enjoy talking to other engineers about applications.
Excellent. I think that's probably a great note on which to conclude.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Paul.